the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports news and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the best co-host anyone can ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all from NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. So let's do this. Here's Sonny Clark.
All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me. It's Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, as we're on a little bit late here on a Sunday, our Sunday morning tradition. Well, it's a Sunday afternoon, but hey, our Sunday tradition continues on here in our 13th year, 13 and a half. In February, it'll be 14 years here on the Couch Potato Sports Show as we get all set and ready to go. As we are really, I've been excited for the last 3 to 4, months. Actually, 3. We found out 3 months ago we're going to be back in the booth right here on the Couch Potato Sports Show, along with the big red Butch Wesson and the Eagle Eye Bill Cerna for Saxy Mustangs football. Guys, I've been so excited about this. I've been ready to go, and here it is. We're just over 2 months away. Well, actually, just under 2 months away, as we will be coming to you from Homer B. Johnson Stadium for the opener for the Saxy Mustangs as they take on the Coppell Cowboys. I'm really excited. Guys, it's just been a roller coaster ride for 2 years as we haven't been in the booth. So that, I'm getting kind of excited about getting back into what we normally do, getting to the norm. But we've been continuing on with our show, obviously through COVID, and doing what we do here. So excited about what is headed our way, and with the combination of a lot of our sponsors. We're working on those sponsorships as far as their commercials and everything, and we'll be bringing those all to you. We got some here, bringing back the Bullet Experience. That's right, Melvin Bullet, the man that has stopped Tom Brady. So excited about that. Good stuff there. So the Bullet Experience, they're going to be, of course, a regular sponsor, and they're going to be our pregame show sponsor. So when we do our pregame show during the week, we'll be all set and ready to go with them. So I'm excited about that. As far as this, there's JP. Good to see JP, along with, working directly with the Saxy Mustangs. I'm going to bring in JP Phillips as, a guy that knows the ins and outs of the Saxy Mustangs. We need that guy, obviously, as he knows more about it. And that also being said, here is the schedule right there. Getting on the 25th, and then we get going September 2nd, September 9th, September 16th, 23rd, and the 30th, October 13th, 20th, 27th, and of course, November 4th for the last day. And then hopefully we'll be getting into the playoffs. So I'm really excited about that. And, the days go long, but they're actually sneaking up on us. Before we know it, it will be August 25th. So the Couch Potato Sports Show, of course, other sponsors. Yes, let's go. Other sponsors, of course, bringing back in Rick Lucas of Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, a good guy, and actually working with him here fairly within a week or two to bring back and get some more commercials up for him, and also Costlow Insurance also there. So we're getting more sponsors. We're getting set up for more sponsors. We'll probably have some sponsorship announcements here next week, as well as the few weeks that are going into the 2022 Saxy Mustang season. So that's what we're here for. That's where we're now. I wanted to get started on the show. By the way, guys, I'm going to be flying solo. No Cuervo. We had him last week. We're lucky to have him. So so we went ahead and grabbed him up. Our regular co-host, as he's with a family deal that he is doing. So we're all set for him to be on next week, and we are going to hit our NFL previews. We're going to be looking at all the teams. We're going to be doing two-a-days for divisions. Two-a-days for divisions. So we're going to probably start off in the AFC and NFC East, then go south, north, and west. So we'll be covering all of the divisions where we think the teams are going to end up within their divisions and things of that sort. So we'll be doing that probably end of July, beginning of August, to get us into week number 1. By the way, scheduling time during football season, during the NFL, the Couch Potato Sports Show goes on at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Okay, and that takes you right up to kickoff. So forget ESPN, forget Fox. Never mind, they don't do a 3-hour show like we do. We cover all the games, not just some of them. We cover all the games that obviously that did not happen on Thursday, the Thursday night games. And if there's any Saturday games at the end of the season, we don't cover those, but we do a show to cover those games. But on Sunday, we just cover the rest of the week on what's happening. So I'm all excited about that as well. So we're getting ready to kick that off. Now, I wanted to get to the delusion that, and I have come to the conclusion that this delusion that I have been seeing a lot of is coming from young folks. It's coming from people that did not see some of the greatness of certain people. And that's why old school people have a hard time looking at some of the new school guys and sit here and say to themselves, you know, this is the guy, or this is the team, or things like that. So they didn't actually see it. They didn't live it. And I'll give you an example. And folks that did not, who were born or didn't understand what boxing was all about, if you did not see a certain Mike Tyson box, really, it's kind of one of those things that you'll leave a lot of things about his game completely out because you've never seen him. Now, I don't want to say that. So, hey, it's Tarvin. Good to see you, my friend. I can send you out the link if you want to go there. You know, you can come on the show. We'll bring you on. But the problem is that if you don't see Tyson, you don't know how great he is. You got to take away, obviously, the ear bite. You know, he was just a little hungry that day. You got to take away that. But Mayweather has really been talking a lot. Why? I don't know. But he has. And I will say this. This guy's delusional. Because right now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not just, well, let me just read the quote. Floyd Mayweather says that he is the best boxer ever. Better than Muhammad Ali, better than Sugar Ray Robinson. Forget Sugar Ray Leonard. Better than Sugar Ray Robinson. Then he goes on this slate and says Ali, doing what he did. Okay, he lost to a fighter that only had 7 fights, and saying that Ali should never have gotten the respect for the rope-a-dope, where Ali would tire out his opponents and then beat him. Well, I'm just going to put this out there, as far as he is concerned. Floyd, there's a strategy to everything. And now your strategy might not be Ali's. Your strategy may not be Sugar Ray Robinson or Leonard. Buster Douglas did his job. What it also proved is that you can't overlook anybody. But that don't mean Ali is not great. that doesn't mean, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and I know there are different weight classes. Well, I would say Mike Tyson would tear him a new one. Listen, I love the fact that the young generation feels really good about themselves. And that comes from parenting to make them feel really good. The problem with parenting is that when you're making your kid feel really good, you don't give them reality. And the reality is Floyd Mayweather could not carry Muhammad Ali's jock. Roberto Duran would just tear this guy's head off. And Floyd Mayweather, or whatever he wants to call himself, coming out saying he's the best boxer ever. Now, listen, you can talk to a lot of people, but when you make a bold statement like that, the only thing that comes to your mind, you have no clue. This is a guy that was obviously drinking or high on something to make a statement, or this guy is just dumb. It's 1, 2, or 3, or a combination of all of them. Now, it's okay to feel good about your game, but Roberto Duran would tear this guy up. I'm telling you right now. Now, that's not a name that a lot of people associate with great boxing, but have you ever seen Roberto Duran fight? Now, you want to call him an entertainer, I might want to give you that. That shot he gave to the Big Show in wrestling, the Big Show, Paul White. That shot he gave to Paul White, he said was one of the hardest punches he ever got. And but as far as entertainment, okay. But Floyd, you've got to get a drug test because you can't carry Muhammad Ali's jock. Sorry, you can't. I'm going to tell you right now, Leon Spinks is a fighter. Listen, I don't care what you say. The best out of 3, Leon Spinks is going to get 2 of them. Now, I know I live in the old school. And that's the reason why I bring Cuervo onto the show, to bring me some of the young look. Unfortunately, him not here today. But to have a guy, Floyd, now, yeah, has he made more money than them? Obviously, yes. But really, Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer ever? So, I don't think so, Tim, is the right answer. And him coming out and, I'm telling you right now, disrespecting the boxers of the earlier era, I'm telling you right now, when you don't show the proper respect, you look foolish. Now, I come on this show weekly and look foolish. Okay? That's okay. Because I'm just a mouthpiece. This guy is a guy that's in the middle of it. This guy puts himself there. So his mouthpiece going off to the side, not having the discipline to put the respect on some names that came before him, tell you exactly who Floyd Mayweather is. He is a mouth. Now, I'm telling you right now, back in the day, now I grew up, I was born in 67. Yes, I'm 53 years old, or 55 years old. I was born in 67, grew up in the 70s. And when my dad called me a mouth, I'm telling you right now, it pissed me off. But that was my dad's way of saying, listen, dude, just shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. So, Floyd, Money Mayweather, money, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, you're just a mouth right now. You're running your mouth and you're embarrassing yourself by making a statement like that. Before you make a statement like that, if you want to, I think also that was, before you make a statement like that, you better give those guys some real props instead of the nonsense that you put and before you said what you said. Again, I mean, listen, this is a guy, I'm not even going to take away from the guy's talent. But to criticize Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is the most recognized sports figure ever. No one can pick Floyd Money Mayweather out of nothing. Okay? So the respect is there. And the respect needs to stay there. Mayweather is not, but I can name you 4 guys that I think are better at least. And if I really look at it and decide to study it, I bet you I could come up with maybe 7, maybe even 10 former boxers that Floyd Money Mayweather could not carry their jock. And one of them, I'm telling you right now, and I'd almost pay to see it. I would have loved to see it. Roberto Duran and Floyd Mayweather. He'd mop the floor with him, wring him out, and then put wax on top of it. That's how good Roberto Duran was. I don't even think he'd even come close. I don't. It's a 10-round match. There's no way. Roberto Duran would have him down by the fourth round. Now, this is a guy who watched Roberto Duran. Listen, I watched Sugar Ray Leonard. I think that'd be a fight. I don't know who would win in that one. I watched a lot of boxing until after Tyson. Now, see, you can't say, and he should say this too, and this is where the problem runs. If he wants to call himself one of the best boxers of his weight class, you could probably say it. But for you to say that you're better than some of the Brother Leon, absolutely. Leon Spinks would tear him up. But Leon Spinks outside his weight class. I'm telling you, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Robinson. Hey, listen, he needs to go get drug tested. Someone needs to look out for this young man. Someone needs to put him on a drug watch to make sure he doesn't finally get the job done. Because that's what's happening here. This guy's doing something. Now, I'm going to talk about a subject here. And before I get the rips, before you decide to go sonnyclark24@gmail.com and send me a bunch of emails, before you start sending me private messages on Facebook, let me preface with what I'm about ready to say. And I'm going to tell you, I almost didn't want to say something about this. It was a couple of weeks ago. We got and it might have been a week ago. But a certain young man from the Baltimore Ravens had passed away. And I don't want to take away from the tragedy of that whole situation. Let me put it up. All right. Jalen Ferguson, this is a really sad story. Actually, same day, a personal friend of mine passed away, Tony Saragusa, the Goose from the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens had a real bad day one day. But this one's a sad story. This young kid, I think, was 24, 25, or 26 years old. Young kid. Everybody loved him. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't love him even after what this post is saying. Baltimore Ravens pass rusher Jalen Ferguson died last month due to combined effects of fentanyl and cocaine. The story is sad enough, but I mean, when you just heard about it, gone too soon, all those things that you say about the young athlete. Forget the one that got hit by a car. His name's just slipping my mind. Someone fill me in on who that is. I'm sure someone does know who I'm talking about. But, and you know, there's your classic example of maybe something kind of being said. Drugs in the sporting world, guys, listen, we're only hearing only a very small percentage of the problem. We really are. We are not hearing anywhere near what people are talking about as far as drugs are concerned in all professional sports. I don't care if that's minor leagues up to the top. And the only reason why, we don't talk about it unless someone gets caught. Or, and in this case, get the drug test back. And then we find out what the situation was. Accidental overdose is what they're calling this. But in professional sports, we are seeing an epidemic. And I honestly believe and think that those that are playing the game are not doing themselves a service. The ones that are not doing drugs are not working hard enough to keep the ones that are on it off. Yeah, I just said it. And listen, I am a proponent of minding your own business. Believe me, that was the Clark family motto of minding your own business. However, in the game of football, basketball, baseball, these are very small families. You got to keep this in the family. You got to do what you got to do within your family to take care of your family. Those that are in the baseball, sports business, football, whatever, on a football team, you've got to be able to stand up and try to help and prevent this kind of thing. And I think the NFL, NBA, MLB, we don't hear much about this in hockey, but I'm sure it's there, where they have got to get this under control, because just one or two deaths because of nonsense like this, it's more than just one person doing this. More than one person knows someone is doing this. So I'm imploring all the professional athletes, fentanyl, cocaine, get your nose dirty. You are dropping the ball, NFL players. You are dropping the ball. And, well, Anthony Price, absolutely. I'm going to tell you exactly how. Give me 2 seconds and I'll get to him. But the problem, I'm not going to say we'll never have a problem, but if guys are going to get their nose dirty and protect their friends, protect their teammates, protect their family, they get on it and get their nose dirty and get them off there and do what they got to do. NFL teams have got to do this as well. I put a certain blame on them. Now, granted, I am not saying that they're going to get through every single one of them. Okay? But if you don't think drugs, and listen, outside of the weed, you don't think fentanyl and cocaine are being used probably rapidly within the NFL, Major League, all these sports, and you don't think that the other players know that it's going on, and you don't think the team knows that it's going on? Now, granted, I know, and listen, I get it. I want to see some of this change. And when we're hearing this story way too much, especially fentanyl. This is one of the new drugs. Listen, and I go back to my brother. I love my brother, and I don't know anything about marijuana. I'm telling you right now, my brother knows everything about it. But even to this point, and yeah, I'm going to say it, Anthony Price, if you are altered, you should not be in professional sports, whether it's football, basketball, even wrestling, if you are altered. I'm telling you right now, marijuana, I don't think. Now, believe me, I've heard all of it. I heard how it stops pain. I've heard all of it. But I'm telling you right now, this is a main drug that is doing a lot of work. Fentanyl, and this one here was a combination of fentanyl, cocaine, accidental overdose. I love the way they say accidental, but I don't think he accidentally put it up his nose. I don't think he accidentally, now in the doses he might have accidentally, but listen, Josh, I'm going to tell you right now, Josh Gordon should have never been on the football field after his second offense. And I know I'm in the minority here. But listen, I'm going to tell you what I know. Not what I think I know, but what I know. I've seen it up close and personal on what it does to professional athletes. And I'm talking marijuana. I know exactly what it does. And especially in the wrestling business, especially in the football business, you cannot tell me, and you're not going to be able to convince me that marijuana is a great thing for football players or wrestlers. Just not going to be able to do it because I've seen what it does to people. And especially in the wrestling business, when one false move, you can have someone paralyzed for the rest of their life. And if you are altered, and I mean altered, coming from marijuana, you should not be in the ring. You should not be out on the field. You should not be on the court. You should not be on the ice. Now, that's a personal opinion on what I see. And I'm not here to argue the benefits of marijuana on what it does. All I'm saying, guys, is that, and by the way, and maybe I'm just too far gone. Those that want to brag about their marijuana usage, you're pretty pathetic. Okay, you do it in a joking way, that's fine. But when you're bragging about it, listen, this is nothing to be proud of. Now, you want to be proud of that you're a marijuana smoker, just take this from me, people who don't do that kind of stuff. You look foolish. You sound foolish. I'm telling you right now, and I get it. I think some blame goes to the personal circle. You got to get him off of this. Okay, if you want him to have marijuana, great, whatever. But we're talking cocaine. We're talking fentanyl. Okay, if you want to live on the idea that marijuana is the wonder drug, go ahead, I guess. Cocaine and fentanyl, I'm telling you right now, that's doing a lot of problems. Random drug testing. Listen, I guess the NFL, I don't really know what their policy is anymore. I really don't. Because really, to be honest, I'm entertained by football and we do the show. But, in other words, if you want to love marijuana and keep that legal so everybody can have it, great. Cocaine, fentanyl, guys, listen, I'm telling you right now, there are NFL, Major League Baseball, basketball players, not so much in the NHL, but I'm sure it goes on, and on all the minor league levels of any kind of sports, as well as wrestling. Altered is not good for your life and the ones that you are participating with. You are very irresponsible. Yeah, I said it. Even with marijuana, if you're a marijuana user and you're in these things where your personal actions have a direct effect on what's going to happen to somebody else. Wrestling, football, not so much baseball, but basketball. You guys can hurt people. Now, whether or not you think that's important enough to stop, that would be up on your own personal beliefs. But I'm telling you right now, altered athletes should not be in sports. Just shouldn't. And I know I'm in the minority on this. And I'll even take it to the extent I don't think they should be on marijuana either. It's just my personal opinion. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. Listen, Michael Phelps. Listen, if they drug tested him and he was found out that he did it, it's great. How he masked it, I don't know. Remember, those are different days. Nowadays, you can't hardly mask anything. I don't. And Michael Phelps, he didn't test. Okay, I'll even take it to Bobby. I'll take it to Bobby Bonds. Bobby Bonds never tested positive for steroids. We all know he did it, but he masked it, did whatever, never tested positive. The guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame. But if you get caught, I'm not saying it's right you should do it if you don't even get caught. I'm just saying it's not right at all. I don't know. It just seems like, whatever that guy's name is. I think he was like boyfriend, girlfriend with Sheryl Crow. I know who you're talking about. This is just name. Listen, I've taken so many shots ahead. I'm lucky to remember my own name. So, no, I don't. No. Okay. No, Trey Mack, I don't need to. I don't need to do any research on marijuana. Zero. You want to know why? Because especially in the wrestling business, and they are smoking weed, they have no business in the ring. Zero. I'm just, and listen, I know about concussion. Yeah, Lance Armstrong, thank you. I know about the concussion things. I've suffered many of it. But if you're on marijuana and you're a perfect, listen, and I don't care what any wrestler says, whether it be Stone Cold Steve Austin or any of them. If you are on marijuana, you shouldn't take one step in the ring. Not one. You're irresponsible, and you should never be able to wrestle again. Unless you can prove that you are not on it. Listen, Trey, you and I both know we sat at watched these guys do some of the most amazing things in the ring. But when you are altered, you are not 100%. I don't need to do research on marijuana and what it does. I know exactly what it does. Listen, I'm a concussion syndrome addict. I never did it. Well, I did it by accident. And I'll never, ever, even after doing it after accident, I'll never do it again. But, you and I both know, with your statement, and I'm telling you right now, and I'll just say it, within Sword Championship Wrestling, if you don't think that has happened within Sword Championship Wrestling and some of the places that you and I have been, some people walking into that ring after hitting it up before they won, I'm not naive enough to believe it, Trey. I'm just not. It happened. So, that's just the way I'm looking at it. That's just the way I see it. Now, granted, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one and they all stink, okay? I get it. And there's a classic example right there. That's steroids and probably a mixture of all the other drugs and stuff. Great wrestlers. But man, Chris Benoit is definitely one that these guys that have known drug problems put lives at risk. That's all I'm saying. And it's not worth it. It happens. And by the way, shame on them. You walk into the ring and you're altered, shame on them. So he had concussion and he had more than just concussion stuff going on, and more than steroids as well. At least some of the reports that I read about Benoit. So, but that's just me getting on my soapbox, thinking that I'm smarter than everybody else. But when it comes to drugs, I don't play. I just don't play. I see this sport, especially football, especially wrestling. When one false move, you can end a career. You can end someone from being able to walk again. Never mind the Dante stalwarts going out, getting drunk, killing people. So, I'm sorry. I'm just not into. Yeah, after the match, we'll toke it up. I'm just not into it. It's irresponsible. I'm sorry, it is, and that's just me. But it is. All right, guys. After I got on my soapbox, preaching it out there. But that being said, that's the name of this show. You catch us every Sunday. Again, week number 1 of the NFL. We start at 9 o'clock, take you up to kickoff. We've been doing it for 13 years. We're not going to start. And by the time the NFL season's done, 14 seasons. I'm excited about that. So, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here from some of our sponsors. We got a lot of the renewing sponsors from when we did the Rowlett Eagles now to Saxy, bringing them along as far as our sponsorships are concerned. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to take a quick break. Sonny's going to have a little bit of his tea. And when we come back, lots of other stuff, lots of NFL, lots of NBA, potpourri headed your way here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We'll be right back.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors.
The prospect of retirement can be exciting and scary at the same time. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement fail to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. What is it? How does it work? It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. Because these decisions are so important, my firm has assembled an informational packet on Social Security. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com.
into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, as we are here on our Sunday tradition. It is that being said, guys, I'm excited about today. Again, no Cuervo. He is doing some family things. But during the week, we got all ready to go. Things started popping. Started off really... Started off with Floyd Mayweather. Oh, my goodness. But by the way, guys, NFL's about ready to do it. This is the last month without NFL. So I got a public service announcement for all women out there whose husbands, boyfriends, give them their one day. Okay? And give it to them all day. Let them have Sunday. There are 7 days in a week, and the NFL football doesn't go on all of them. So when you're planning something and you know your husband, boyfriend, significant other wants to watch football, don't make him feel guilty. Let them have their time. Let them have all day. There are no NFL games on Saturdays. Do it. Now, if he wants to do it, great. But if you know your guy wants to, listen, this guy's watching football on Sunday. Okay? Damn it, that's what I'm going to do. Don't make him feel bad about it. Women, find something to do. Find something you're passionate about and have it on Sunday. Give that exactly. No one cares about the Thursday games because they're god-awful. Now, if your man is a college football guy and an NFL guy, let him choose which one if you have to have one of those days. But women, listen, and by the way, now, when I say this, I know it sounds incredibly sexist when I say it, but bring him a sandwich during the game. Bring him a beer. Do it because you love it, because he loves you. He loves the sport that much. And I promise you, he'll love you more. I know it's sexist to say, but hey. And by the way, guys, if your woman's doing something, bring them some coffee or whatever they like when they're doing their thing they're wrapped up into, you know? Come back here for more relationship tips. I gotcha. Yeah. So successful. Anyway, I want to start in the NBA. There's lots of stuff. By the way, guys, this one right here. Listen, ESPN. I have ESPN Plus, by the way. Thanks, Hulu, ESPN Plus. What else do I have? ESPN, Hulu, and Disney. So I get a three-fer on that for a good price. Yeah, I know. I know it. I see. But this is one I want to watch. And guys, here's what I'm going to tell you. It's not what I think I know. It's what I know. After you're done watching this one, you thinking that LeBron James somehow pogo sticks over Kobe in the top 10, you're crazy. And the more I'm thinking about it, and the more I'm talking about it, I call him Bron. I actually at one point thought about this, and I moved him ahead of Larry Bird as far as the list was concerned.
What?
So, I know it was a mistake. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I dropped him to number 8 instead of number 7, going up ahead of Larry Bird, number 7. Did you watch this last season? And this has nothing to do with them not making the playoffs, but that's bad enough. Okay? His game is no. Listen, here's my fear about Bron. Bron's going to play for 3 more years and he's going to be irrelevant. The only reason why he will be relevant is because the media can't stand not going a day talking about Bron, about how great he is. Now, I'm going to tell you that Braun deserves all of the recognition in the world for his work off of the basketball court. Because I don't see anybody else doing it, but granted, he is a billionaire. He's a billionaire. Active player billionaire. I can give two shakes of shit about Braun and his $1 billion, except for the fact of what he's doing with it. And by the way, I commend Braun. He has a high school. I don't even care if there's only 10 in the high school, but I heard there's 50 or 60. Paying their school, feeding them all day, sending them to college if they want to go. Listen, I can respect that about Braun. Braun and his humanitarian works are God only second to none, I think. And what I will say is that I think Braun is better than Michael Jordan in that case. Yes, guess what? Jordan Brand has now reached over $5 billion in annual revenue for the first time. And that number that is there, now I just grabbed this, I think that number's higher. The Jordan Brand, he's making more than that. But they went over $5 billion. He's only getting $150 million off of a $5 billion deal. Listen, he isn't that stupid. It's more. I know it's more. I might be wrong, but I doubt it. But that is where Braun is better than Michael Jordan. Now, I'm not saying Michael Jordan doesn't give away money. He probably does. He has to. And now, granted, there's a difference between having to do it so you can help yourself out in taxes or genuinely wanting to do it. I think, and I won't even go to I'll even say, I think Braun wants to get back to his community, especially the Cleveland community or wherever the school is. I don't know, but congratulations. That is something. It's better than most that are doing out there. But as far as LeBron James on the basketball court, now, if you didn't catch our show a couple weeks ago, hell, even last week when we played it, I played a video about a basketball player talking about the weakness and the how do you say it? They cater to these guys all over the place. So, I'm going to tell you, in basketball, Braun gets catered. And it's about him, and I get it, and that's one of the reasons why I find the NBA almost hardly watchable. There are certain superstars, and there are certain stars, by the way, that I will watch. I actually watched a lot of basketball this year, more than what we obviously talked about. Because what I find amazing is that these bench players making millions of dollars. Now, some of the superstars this past week, I don't want to go through the long list. There are many superstars that bought into their contracts and making, $40 and $50 million a year playing basketball. Unbelievable. But hey, that's what the NBA, Players Association does for them. This is just the way that it is. They're going to make the superstars are going to make a lot of money. Hell, even the bench warmers. You go back to I saw a meme about this football player that I'll remember his name, but as a backup quarterback, he became the 16th highest paid quarterback ever. Chase Daniels sits on the bench, just doing exactly what we do on Sunday, just watching the game. Makes a lot of money. So, but as far as LeBron James is concerned, I've got concerns about LeBron James. I've got concerns about his greatness. I'm not willing to drop him out of the top 10. But there's, in my top 10, I don't have Tim Duncan, which I think he should probably be 9 or 10. I dropped Pistol Pete to number 11, but I brought him back to 10. Listen, that if you don't know about Pistol Pete, go back into my show last week and look at just what he did compared to even Jordan. Now, obviously, this was before all the and all this other stuff, but Pistol Pete, listen, Pistol Pete is what got me to start even watching basketball, got me loving the Celtics, got me watching, Boston and LA. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you couldn't get any better than a Saturday or Sunday Boston and LA when I was a kid, watching it on a black and white TV and then into color. So today's game and way they're doing it, and they want to shorten the season and coddle these guys even more. And Richard Jefferson said it best. With guys that are just not playing, guys that are minorly hurt, and with the millions of dollars they're making, for them not to play for some of those silly reasons. It's hard to look at the NBA and yes, now granted, I go back into the days. I go back a long time watching NBA as a kid. My brothers were all doing anything. I was watching the NBA on top of a dresser drawer in a bedroom where I shared, I think, with my brother. And they were going to do it. I was watching the NBA, watching Larry Bird, watching McHale, every weekend. That's where I was. Where were you? Young people, did you watch the game? For those that think LeBron James is God's gift to basketball, you're not watching it enough. And this goes back to what I was saying about Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Money Mayweather not even mentioning some of the greats in a way that showed respect. Now, Floyd Mayweather is 45 years old. Okay? He made millions, probably, and I don't even know this, but he probably made more than Ali. Almost sure he did, because the money is so insane today. And the money gets handed out to people that are not deserving of it. The NBA is full of a lot of bench warmers right now making millions sitting the bench. You got some players that are outside. I'll use Damian Lillard as an example. I've met Damian. He was the brother of Houston Lillard of the Indoor Football League. I met him. So I met him. And this was before he became big basketball star, making the max contract, and the Portland Trail Blazers trying to do everything to try to save him. But in today's game, the money, the extension, crazy. They put him at $52 million for 2 years. They were going to pay him $104 million for 2 years to stay in Portland after he signed a max deal just a few years ago, trying to extend that max deal. Superstars are important in the NBA. But where I think NBA basketball stars have, okay, I'm trying not to find a vulgar way of saying it, have no stones to do what Steph Curry is doing. Steph Curry's staying right over in Golden State. They're building around him, just like Jordan. But then you got these guys bouncing around in the NBA. It's pretty pathetic. Say whatever you want about LeBron James. And I got a lot of bad things to say about him. He's one of the biggest guys that are are guilty of this. And it's pretty sad, especially the deal in Cleveland the second time is bad enough. But I'm going to tell you just what I know, not what I think I know, but looking at the NBA right now, how is it even watchable? And I'm going to go to Kevin Durant in this. If you remember, Kevin Durant right now, or he's not a happy guy. But I don't know if you know it or remember it or realize the impact of what the Brooklyn Nets did for Kevin Durant. He sat on the sidelines and rehabbed for a whole year, got paid to do it, big time, got paid. And I will tell you, what is this guy doing now? Instead, now, this is what's going on now. Durant has demanded a trade after playing only 90 games for the Nets. If you go back also, he was the one that urged Brooklyn to sign Kyrie Irving. The man who pushed for James Harden set the whole wheels in motion. Now the wheels are falling off of it. It's pretty sad. Also, think about this. Durant played a major part in pushing for the Brooklyn Nets to sign listen, I mean, hell, I even know DeAndre Jordan was not worth $40 million. And that guy was useless as turd in a swimming pool. The Nets did everything that Kevin Durant asked them to do. And he repaid them by setting this team as a failure, and this guy wants out. I almost need to get the soundbite. What you talking about, Willis? This is, and Kevin Durant, listen, I'm not saying the guy's talentless, but LeBron James and Kevin Durant and guys that are like this within the NBA is what's killing the NBA. Money has killed the NBA. Max got $52 million. What? And people say, "Son, you live in the dark ages." Well, okay, this is what I lived in. Guys that didn't make anywhere near the money, obviously, but they made their money, but it wasn't to the extent of what the superstars in the NBA are making. They are making the money that bench players are making today in the NBA. They made what bench players are making today in the NBA. We're talking about Karl Malone, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing. Oh my God, David Robinson. Look at these. Look at the production from these superstars. Hakeem, Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley. The combination of Jordan and Pippen is over 31,000 points in the 90s. Do you think they're seeing $42 million paydays? The money they made doesn't even come close to the money that these young guys are doing, and they have not even proven themselves to be worthy of those contracts. And the NBA is falling all over them. Now, I don't know what the NBA's financial situation is, but I got to say it's got to be damn good, because you're only paying one guy $52 million when the whole damn roster for 3 different teams back in the day didn't even come to that much. And you're just paying it to one guy. Now, congratulations. Listen, I'm all for guys getting their money. But man, when you're a bench player making $10 million, by the way, I'm not exaggerating. Look it up. Bench players in the NBA, some of them making $10 million. And they're hoping they don't have to get in there. If I was making $10 million, I'd taking jet rides and, enjoying the towns you go, town to town, making $10 million, hoping someone don't get hurt. Hoping I could keep my jump shot good enough to keep making the $10 million. Or at least fooling them enough to think that they're worth the $10 million. So this goes back to a lot of what I was looking at. Now, I saw a meme. Now, keeping it within basketball, I saw a meme that just really, and by the way, I see this, and I have never read something that I didn't agree with more. And I know I'm going to offend many Dallas Maverick fans, but if you listen to this show, you already know I think Dirk Nowitzki is probably the most overrated basketball player in NBA history. Yeah, I said it. Yes, Dallas fans, Dallas Maverick fans, overrated. Now, that's not his fault, though. I want to put that out there. That's Mark Cuban's fault. That's the game's fault. Mark Cuban couldn't get anybody to come join this guy at all. So he had to do it and put it on his own shoulders. The only reason why the guy scored all the time is because that was the only weapon that you have. I mean, just go back and see all the greats. They always had at least somewhat of a real sidekick. Dirk Nowitzki had to put that thing all on his shoulders. And if you go back and watch him the years after they won the championship, that's not the same Dirk Nowitzki that won it, or the years before that. It took everything out of him. Now, the overrated portion of it is that he was shooting the ball all the time because they didn't have anything else. They didn't have anything that could showcase him a little bit differently besides him popping up the threes. And when I think about Dirk Nowitzki, he's a great player. Met him. If you watch this show or listen back in the day, I interviewed the guy. He had a charity thing, and I went out and I interviewed about 25 people, superstars, including Mark Cuban, and a lot of other superstars in the sporting world, as well as the acting. They're all in the dugout for this all-star softball game. And I was right there in the dugout, met a lot of them. So Dirk Nowitzki, a great guy, great. And by the way, great for Dallas too. I don't want to take away from that. I'm just saying when you don't have anybody else. Now, whose fault is that? Go back into the archive and I told you whose fault that is. And I'll tell you and I told you the reason why. We won't get into it in today's show. But Dirk Nowitzki, and finally someone besides me, I wasn't the only one that said that, because, matter of fact, they probably went into the archives of this show to get this quote. Because I said not just something similar to this, I said the same damn thing. Kevin Garnett. And it solidified exactly why I thought he was overrated. Dirk Nowitzki was a scorer. Thank God for that. Thank God they had him. Mark Cuban should have paid him even to this day, even though he's not paying him. But Kevin Garnett, listen, if I was starting a team and I had my choice between Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki, by the way, who are you going to take? You going to take Dirk? Or are you going to take Kevin Garnett? I'm telling you. And again, it goes a little bit old school. Kevin Garnett a little bit older and everything, you know. But Dirk Nowitzki, all respect to him, by the way. I mean, God, someone had to score on this team in order for him to win 50 games for as many years in a row that they did it. Which, by the way, I never thought was all that great. Winning 50 games. I think they went for like 14 seasons, won 50 games, and everybody was all excited about that. It's like, doing good if you're out in the first round. Who gives a rip? And that's what it was. When Dallas, made the playoffs, they didn't last long. But money killing the NBA. Money's killing a lot of things. Now, that leads me to high school football. Granted, right here on the Couch Potato Sports Show, thank God we're going to be back in the booth. But I'm going to tell you right now, players coming out of high school going to college, Pandora's box was opened. We all know about, guys getting paid now. And I want to tell you, when I saw it, it actually made me sad. Look at this. Now, he's an 18-year-old man. Call him a kid if you want, but as soon as you turn 18, you're considered a man. But Miami goes ahead and gets Jaden Rashada and signs an NIL deal worth $9.5 million. Okay, let me preface this whole thing. When I said the players should not be getting paid, and, or if they were going to get, they should have, gave them food. Make sure now these stupid little rules. You can have a bagel, but you can't have the sour cream on top of it. All that stupid bull crap that they had. Yes, that was a rule back in the day for college football. I don't know if it is now, but they can give them the bagel, but they just couldn't put the cream cheese on it. So, and that's what college football rules and the NIL and all this information, these guys. But guys, when you're seeing this kind of deal that is out there, you have to question what the NIL is doing or allowing. You have to question everything that they put into play about getting paid for this, getting paid for that. Those have to come into question because this is the stupidest crap I've ever seen. Now, granted, I think the meme here, or the picture, the slate, I call them, $9.5 million. I think that's not each year. I think that's the whole deal through college. But he can go out and do 1 year or 2 year in college, still make $4.25 million. But look at the names of guys that are not even making $9.5 million a year. Proven players. Now, granted, when rules change, some people, but I'm telling you, look at those numbers. Look at the names. There's some superstars there. Should a guy that has not even stepped out on a college field be allowed to make this amount of money? This is pathetic. And it's killing high school rivalries. Who's calling? I don't know. They're not answering. I'm not answering. But I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Pandora's box was open, and that's the reason why we're getting this. This is the reason why we're seeing the stupid signings that are going on. And it's going to kill college football. And they're going to have to wipe it clean. Now, granted, I don't know if that'll be done in my time, but they're going to have to figure something out. Evidently, this is someone I know. All right, so I'm going to go into a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this. Hello. Hold on.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 2.
All right, I'm back. Now, I'm sorry, it was a call I had to take. Anyway, right now, high school football, I love it. And I, I'm not going to say anything about high school football. I'm not going to go that. But man, I just think that there's a lot of things that are being missed nowadays. I really do. I don't think high school football players should be making this much money going out of college. I really don't. Okay. And if you want to give them money, take care of them a little bit. But come on, how much was that? 9 point what? Pretty sad. Put that thing back up here. The call kind of got me off. I'm trying to getting back up on the highway. So here we are. We've come to this. This is not good. This is not a good look. And I don't know. Something tells me that there are a lot of things going on within college football and high school football that are so not the way it was back in my day. Nowadays, high school football is a business, and we've seen that. And I get that to a certain extent. I live in probably the biggest state that this is all set for. I am set for all this situation. And Texas is, I'm surprised this didn't happen out of Texas. I don't even know where this kid's from. But we're going to hear more stories of this. Is this a story that we really want to hear? I don't know. Yeah, I guess you have to ask the question. How good can this be? So, again, look at these guys. You got Tua down there, Herbert, Zach Wilson, Kyler Murray, which, by the way, Kyler Murray, right down the street from me here, Allen, Texas, grad. I don't know if he got that much money, even under the table deals and things of that sort that maybe went on with him going from Allen to where, I forget what college he went to. But man, this guy, I don't know. I think it's going to kill the sport. I really do. I think it's going to be, well, okay. I think it's going to end up going to this. Look, this is what college football is coming to, by the way. With all the teams that are switching, 2 teams, I think it was UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. Really? The Big Ten? I mean, I'm sorry. You guys, if you're going to do these things, I mean, I'd make it. I mean, this is almost as bad as an NFL alignment with the Dallas Cowboys being in the NFC East. It's just stupid. I mean, just do it right. I mean, I get it. I guess but this what the future of college football is? And take a look at these programs. Take a look at these are programs that, listen, I may be too skeptical. These are a lot of teams, a lot of colleges that are paying a lot of money to these guys. And who, by the way, who's paying these guys? The boosters and all the backdoor dirty dealing that goes on in college football. They're trying to put it together to where it is respectful. I don't know. But a guy making $9.5 million coming out of high school to go play in Florida, I don't know. Something about that just isn't right. So this might be, but when football switched the division, I don't know. I can't even keep up with it, Anthony. I can't even keep up with it because basketball players are going to get paid too. Probably not to the extent that football is going to get paid. Maybe I'm wrong about that too. I don't know. I could be completely ignorant when it comes to that side of it. But all I know is that it is a wide open, and it's not a good thing. It is not a good thing for colleges to be paying a player $10 million. You don't think the other 63 are going to resent this kind of nonsense out on the football team? The other 63 going, this guy's making 9 point. What I get? I'm lucky to get enough food to feed myself, if you believe that, which I don't. But, hey, if they want to live on that excuse, they can. I don't know. It just seems so insane to me. And that's where sports is. Sports is not athletics anymore. It's more about a business than what they are. So, interestingly enough, so that's where they're at. Now, I have been taking a lot of ribbing in the past about my position on Colin Kaepernick. I've took quite a bit of ribbing on it. So much ribbing that, I even looked at it and said, well, maybe Colin Kaepernick has, maybe he has something. Maybe he's saying something. Maybe something going on. But last week, Warren Sapp came out on a podcast that he was invited to, and he said he heard it on good authority that the workout from Colin Kaepernick was a disaster. He said that he heard it was one of the worst workouts ever. Now, that being said, of course, that's the name of this show. I have a hard time with people getting on Warren Sapp here. Okay, Warren Sapp may not have been the best commentator or even, network guy right there in the studio guy. Probably wasn't the best, but the guy has insights and he has insiders talking to him. Now, I will say this. It has come out that Warren Sapp's not wrong by many people saying this after, of course, Warren Sapp said it. Now, I want to go to the agent here, and I'm going to ask the obvious question here, but the agent says, I'm surprised Warren Sapp would say that because it's not true. Well, that's not true, Mr. Agent, Mr. Neely, from not just Warren Sapp's mouth, but from many. And so he says, because it's not true, and you would think he'd, being Warren Sapp, would want Cap on a team. Why? I guess I'm going to ask the obvious question of why would Warren Sapp want him on a team? Why would it why would it warrant Warren Sapp wanting him on a team? Why? What is this? Do you think maybe this has something to do with loyalty? I don't understand the loyalty because I don't think Warren Sapp knows Colin Kaepernick personally. I don't think they hang out and have beers. I think maybe he interviewed him. So what is he saying here? I'm just going to leave it like that. Just listen, Warren Sapp owes Colin Kaepernick nothing. Warren Sapp is an analyst, was an analyst. And I don't know, Anthony, but it sure seemed like that to me. Listen, you know, I just like to say these kind of things and keeping it real on this show. But it seemed exactly what you just said there, Anthony. And it seems to me that in keeping it real, it's inexcusable for the agent to say this. It's inexcusable and should not have been said. And if I'm Colin Kaepernick, I think I'm talking to this guy, saying, hey, let's slow down here. I didn't say this. You represent me. Okay? Don't put words in my mouth because this can't help. I mean, listen, Colin Kaepernick has got a lot of problems. He doesn't need his agent causing more. Colin Kaepernick, and listen, I don't know Colin Kaepernick, but through this whole thing, I think that Colin Kaepernick would be okay with what Warren Sapp said and just kept it as well. I don't agree with him. The fact the agent is coming out and saying this kind of thing, it just puts words in Kaepernick's mouth that maybe he didn't say. Because I'm going to tell you, to me, the statement is just crap.
This is total BS.
It's total BS for him to go that route. Let these analysts do their jobs and leave all that other nonsense out of it. And if you don't like someone's opinion about the workout, either do one of two things. Either dispute it in a way that doesn't make you look like an idiot, or prove them wrong next time, or whatever the case may be. Listen, there's a shortage of quarterbacks, and I'm to me, and I might be wrong, because listen, sometimes I have a habit of saying things that might not be what people, or might not even be right. You know,
I was rude.
But if you want to change your perception about something, defend it in the right way. That's all I would want if that was my agent, instead of bringing in and maybe what some people are perceiving as throwing the race card into it. Warren Sapp has been doing this. Listen, he was on the NFL channel for many years. I can't remember how many, but he was on there for many. And I actually respect his opinion about things. There are a lot of analysts out there I'm going, geez, what did they just say? I didn't get that very much from Warren Sapp. Now, I got it when he was kidding around, but when he was serious about a subject, the guy knows his stuff. The guy played, 14, 15 years in the NFL. The guy knows the stuff. He used to eat quarterbacks. He knows a good quarterback when he sees it. All right. So that being said, he wasn't even reporting what he's seen. He was reporting on what others were saying. And then all of a sudden, this falls up on Warren Sapp. Sad state of affairs in reality. And then you got the agent up on top of it. It's just pathetic. And it's got to be something that you got to do. You got to stay away from in reality. Because it just puts everything in a bad perception of, as already Kaepernick doesn't need anybody making things worse for him when he's trying to make a team. I'm not saying the guy should never play the NFL. I don't know. All I know is I knew the numbers. I saw the guy play before he, went and did what he did, and he was questionable then. And now he hasn't been out on the football field for what now, 6-7 years? You think he got better? Could Warren Sapp be right? Could have it been a disaster? Absolutely. And by the way, I think I believe him. Not because of who Colin Kaepernick is I trust the sources that are coming from Warren Sapp. You think Warren Sapp woke up one morning and said, I think I'm going to go trash Colin Kaepernick? I don't know. To me, it seems like there's an awful lot of things being talked about that should not be talked about because they're not relevant. And Colin Kaepernick does not need his agent up there saying things. In fact, it's dumb. Real dumb. And it don't make the perception of what Colin Kaepernick is. And listen, I'm going to give Kaepernick the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say Kaepernick probably ripped him, and if he didn't, he should. Anyway. Speaking of defense, by the way, Warren Sapp, by the way, I saw this out here coming up for this season. Here is, and this is according to some guy on the Pro Football Weekly. By the way, I steal these things. I don't put them down. I'll put together once in a while one, but I normally just steal these things. But this is from Pro Football Weekly. Some guy did this. And I look at this. Because what do they always say, guys? Defense wins championships. Look who's at number 2. So when I am actually looking, when we're getting set to do the NFC and AFC West, I see where the defenses are for the AFC West, and there's only one team up there that I think should be flip-flopping if you're going to do it. Slide those Broncos down to number 7 and pull those Chargers up there. Based up off the top of my head, not diving into who's there and everything, but just off the top of my head, I wouldn't have Denver at number 2. Rams, number 1. Hey, okay. San Francisco, yeah. Buffalo, yeah. Tampa Bay, I'm questionable about. And listen, and I'm going to tell you, I drive to work, 20 minutes to work, 20 minutes back. And I'm sorry, I listen to a lot of the NFL on Sirius XM radio. And there are certain guys that I will listen to. And there is a guy right now at Sirius that was a laughing stock as a quarterback, but as an analyst, I love hearing from Ryan Leaf. Yeah, I said it. And yes, I'm the one that said take Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning. Yes, I know. I know. I was I was wrong about that one, okay? I admit it.
I was rude.
All right, but as an analyst, when I listen to him, I believe what he says. I like what he says and what he puts out weekly. And I actually marked that I think he's on 3 or 4 days a week. In fact, I reached out to him. I'd love to have him on the show. But he's very smart reading, about quarterbacks, and listen to him talk about defense from a quarterback perspective is really interesting. It's like listening to Tony Romo in the booth, and Romo's kind of leading you away, going, "Oh, watch this play. This is what this is going to be." Ryan Leaf is a little bit that way. Now, granted, people will have their opinion about him. He had a rough going, but man, I like what I'm hearing from Ryan Leaf. But I will say this, as far as that list is concerned. Again, I think I dropped Denver down a little bit low, and I definitely moved New Orleans down lower, and I moved New England down there. Dallas, I don't even think should be on the list. I think I moved Green Bay up. But I after looking at this, I know if the Denver Broncos has the number 2 defense in the NFL, and with what they got going on, remember, they still got Sutton on that football team, guy out of TCU, wide receiver, super bad. And then now you bring on Russell Wilson, giving him a couple of weapons. My instant thinking about where the Denver Broncos are going to be as far as the AFC is concerned, especially the AFC West, I'm changing my mind on. Because, I'm going to have to dive into this one a little bit more. This is one I looked at, and I asked myself, can the Denver Broncos be serious contenders in the AFC West? When you got the Kansas City Chiefs, that has been the mainstay for the last few years. Oakland, who's supposedly getting better. Bring in the guru from New England, Josh McDaniels, to lead this team. Pick up a couple of good off-season, pickups for them, long as, then throw in the Chargers. My gosh, the AFC West is going to be one of the toughest divisions of football to kind of just look at and say, who's going to win it? And who's going to be the one that says Patrick Mahomes is not going to be able to lead his team to win the AFC West championship? Who's going to have those stones? Who's going to have enough gumption to say maybe it's going to be the Chargers? Or stretch it, Rams or the Broncos? I don't know. But that ranking on number 2, defense wins championships. It may not win you a division title. I mean, all you got to do is ask the Giants about that. And some teams that do win their own damn division, win the Super Bowl. Could happen. I don't know. But I don't know. We're going to dive into that. We're going to start that again. We're going to start that at the end of July. And we're going to look at all of them. We're going to look at all the division. It's going to be the hardest one. It'll be the last one. It'll be in week 4 of the 4 that we'll do, of the 2 days of divisions. And we'll look at this. But right now, that along with the AFC North, I think are the toughest divisions to kind of figure out who's going to do what. Where are certain teams right now? And I've been doing a lot of listening in my spare time, listening to these training camp reports that I never used to do, but the ones for the AFC North and the AFC West, I've been listening to. The other ones I don't care because I kind of got a grasp on what's going on. Those 2 tough divisions, crazy. So, but, will Russell Wilson and Sutton be one of these tandems that are going to, get them at the top of the receptions list? I don't know. But last year, the most receptions since 2016, Devontae Adams. And I remember on this show, I get sometimes, I will say things that,
I was rude.
and that was one of them. I said that was totally nuts. He wasn't worth the money, and sure enough, there he was. But then again, you got Aaron Rodgers there. DeAndre Hopkins, 550. And by the way, he missed some games there with the Arizona Cardinals because of injuries. Stephon Diggs, he's coming up. And Keenan Allen's been a badass the whole time. Michael Thomas also. He only played 7 games since 2009. Look at that number. That just goes to show. Where are the Saints in this deal, man? They are going to have to figure that out. I mean, I don't think you could be the Saints and not be able to do something. But Jameis Winston, I don't know. The NFL is definitely different things. Now, let's look at some of this. I found this interesting. I saw this and I thought it was interesting. In the last 10 years, teams with Super Bowl wins. Now, Super Bowl wins in 10 years, you have 9 in the last 10 years. Obviously, the one that won the 2 of them was the Patriots. But you got the Rams. You have the Bucks. You haven't seen Kansas City with their one. Philadelphia with their miracle one. The Broncos winning the Super Bowl 10 years ago. Seattle Seahawks, the Giants with Eli Manning. You know, it's just really interesting. And you know, in the last 20 years, Green Bay Saints, the Steelers and Colts. Lots of things about those guys that might be quarterback, right? Past 30 years. Look at all these numbers, these guys, and then never. Look at the nevers. By the way, the Buffalo Bills, the Chargers, 2 teams right now that are vying to maybe get their first one. The Bengals been in the Super Bowl. Cardinals been in the Super Bowl. Panthers been in the Super Bowl, but not won them. So it'd be interesting. I saw this. I found this one very interesting. You see where teams are. Jets haven't won one in forever. Joe Namath. The perfect season for the Miami Dolphins. Nothing since. Interestingly enough. Other things I was looking at. How about this? Top 5 players in each position post-merger. So that's since the Super Bowl. And look at some of those names that we're seeing on the top 5 players at each position on the defensive side of the ball. I'll be finding the offensive stat on this. But I'm looking at those names. Look at the names. Bruce Smith, Reggie Wayne, Mean Joe Green. Aaron Donald's on that list. Wow. You know, Aaron Donald is a badass. And he's going to be paid like a badass too. But look at linebackers. Lawrence Taylor, Ray Lewis, Jack Lambert. That's going back in the day. 6-time pro Lambert. Unbelievable. Derek Thomas, lost at a young age. Derek Brooks, by the way. Unbelievable. Cornerback. Of course, Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, Charles Woodson, Mel Blount, and Jarrell Revis. Listen, I wasn't much of a Jarrell Revis fan, but when you look at the numbers and see what he did, he deserves to be on that top 5. Safety, Ronnie Lott, one of my favorites in the game. Hated Ed Reed. Troy Polamalu wasn't a fan, but loved Dawkins, loved Houston. So, you know, interestingly enough, you know, when I find the offense, I can't wait to get to the offense to see the top 5. You know, go ahead. I didn't put those together. I just found them. So, interestingly enough, some more NBA news. I wanted to put this out because I found it pathetic. What the hell? How does this guy get that? Now, we reported this was going to happen, and I hated it when I saw it. But how does this guy, for the Pelicans, who hasn't done jack squat, $193 million max rook contract or a 4-year contract, it's just pathetic. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but this guy's a complete bust up until now. And yet the Pelicans are afraid to let this guy go. Instead, they decide to pay him. I very, very interesting to me. And the last thing I got on here, of course, and the Cleveland Browns. My gosh. Talk about a team just even from last year, before week 18. Or actually, let's go back. Go back to week 14 and before, because we started hearing the rumblings about 14 about their quarterback situation. But in A-class Cleveland Brown ways of doing it, and I didn't write it, but I'm going to repeat it. The Browns didn't just agree to a fight through this mess. They sold their mansion on the lake in exchange for a palace that was engulfed in flames. In other words, it is the Browns being the Browns. When are the years that the Browns are going to get out of their own damn way? The Browns cannot seem to do it. Whether it's Baker Mayfield, I'm telling you right now, the Browns need to swallow their pride, and they need to sign Baker Mayfield. If not, go out and get the only one I think they should get. And I'm talking about Jimmy G. Now, if you want to throw Baker Mayfield to another, but I'm telling you right now, there are teams out there. I don't know. I see, because not knowing really the background and hearing, all I read is what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing about Baker Mayfield is that Baker is pissed off. He feels disrespected. And why? I don't necessarily know. But I will say this. When you have a team that has been doing what they have been, the Browns, for the last 3 years, they're just throwing away momentum. Now, granted, that momentum is bad enough. Okay, there's some problems there. But how Baker Mayfield was not good for the Browns still has me confused. Again, now, we could come on this show. We've had people on this show. Bryce is one of them, saying exactly, and I believe him. But what were the Browns before he got there? Now, he may be the quote-unquote average guy. I put him above average. You know, maybe he should have been a little bit longer in his career and a little bit better in his career. But where have the Browns been before that? It seems to me, and I could be wrong. I know how to be wrong. I don't know why. I don't know why the Browns want to move away from momentum. And I don't know what the problem necessarily is, because I'm not in the locker room. I can only go by what I'm hearing. And half the stuff I'm hearing, is that worth throwing away what success that they have had with Baker Mayfield? Talking about a team that finally made the freaking playoffs. How about beating the Steelers twice? Now, again, I don't think Baker Mayfield is the best thing to come along since Fruit Punch, but the team? How about their coach? This is a team that was looking like it was coming together. And what we've seen was something that could go on, but where the disappointment comes from, whether it be from Baker, whether it be from coaching, whether it be from front office, why would the Browns want to mess that up? Why are the Browns deciding to go back into mediocrity? Because we all know Deshaun Watson probably ain't going to pay. Although, I've said it on this show, and I don't think I'm wrong. Last year was the suspension from the NFL. This was hush-hush. I've been also reading and hearing about there may not be a suspension, and then depending on who you read and where you read, they're asking for indefinite for at least a year. So I don't know who to believe, although I think the Browns are going to fight the hell out of this. See, like, Roger, we did the right thing. We benched this guy. We basically gave him the suspension. Yeah, we paid him. And by the way, that's a piss poor excuse for anybody to say, well, he still got paid, so he's suspended. No. That's 17 games the guy wasn't out on the football field when he was capable. And if you don't think that takes away from a guy's career, I'm telling you, you don't know football. And you shouldn't talk. Now, granted, I say a lot of things that I probably shouldn't talk about. But I'm telling you right now, the Browns are making the biggest mistake as a franchise that they possibly can for at least. And if they can't handle it, okay. Listen, I've heard horror stories 10 times worse than I've ever heard regarding Baker Mayfield. And you should be thankful in reality that you got a Baker Mayfield that maybe you have a little conflict with, but I don't necessarily see their problems. Maybe I'm not reading enough about it. But I'm going to say straight out that I don't think necessarily Baker Mayfield's the problem. And do you? I mean, listen, now granted, as ownership and everything, maybe you wanted more. And I completely get that. But where were you years ago? Just a few years back. Do you know? You were nowhere. Not even sniffing a chance at the playoffs. Listen, Baker Mayfield made my picks for their games. It made me look dumb. They won more than they lost. Well, yeah, they were. Yeah, I might be. Hold on. I think they were 9 or maybe they were 8 and 9. I don't remember exactly, but they were in the playoffs. So, I don't know. I'm missing this a lot. I'm missing where all this is coming from. One report says they won an indefinite suspension for a year, and that's coming out of these quote unquote investigation panels, the investigation documents. And by the way, attorneys for Deshaun Watson, they want that documentation of the investigation. I don't know if they're going to get it. But as far as what we're hearing, Watson's disciplinary hearing was over 3 days ago. And why haven't we heard anything, Ryan? Why is this time? Why is this taking so long? And let's say, I don't get the NFL. Stand by your rules and regulations that you want. And listen, if you don't see how Deshaun Watson has put a black eye out on the NFL, then you're just stupid. You're just not intelligent, because this is a black eye to the NFL. This is a black eye to the Houston Texans, which, by the way, they need to be investigated as well. Not only that, I think it was back on the 27th that one of the people in the lawsuits are actually filing against the Texans now. Man. So why today is Baker Mayfield the problem in Cleveland? Baker Mayfield is more of a black sheep for the Cleveland Browns than Deshaun Watson. Explain this to me. Cleveland Browns, I'm telling you, I gave him the answer. And this sometimes in business, when you got as much money as NFL billionaires have, you got to throw money at a problem. And if the Browns don't throw money at Baker Mayfield, I'm talking give him $5 million more and then cut his ass next year if you want to get rid of him at that point. But not giving Baker Mayfield a little bit more money to come back to try to duplicate what they did last year, it's just bad business. Everybody who wants to be on the side of the player, why aren't they on the side of Baker Mayfield, but you're on the side of Deshaun Watson? Can I give me a break? But no, Baker Mayfield's the problem in Cleveland. Listen, I know I have been told that sometimes I think with too much of a little bit of a simplistic mind, but I have a feeling, by the way, his commercials were funny as shit. Why anybody thinks Deshaun Watson right now, based upon history, that Deshaun Watson is the better answer? I don't know. Cleveland Browns have got a lot of learning to do, I think. I think they're way off on their thinking. I don't know if I'm the only one that's ever just said what I just said. I haven't heard it. I've listened to sports talk all day long. But listen, Mayfield can say whatever he wants. If you don't know the story, Baker Mayfield has already said supposedly this is a mutual decision on both sides to move on. But if you're the Browns, you still own the rights to this guy. Screw that. Here's a couple extra million. Get your butt into camp, because whatever happens with Deshaun Watson, you got to have a backup. Listen, I think I'd rather have Baker Mayfield, even disgruntled Baker Mayfield, before Jacoby Brissett. The Cleveland Browns are about ready to go into the 2022 season with Jacoby Brissett, not as a backup, but as their starter. Who is running the camp there? Seriously? It makes no sense to me. Yeah, Bryce. I know. Makes zero sense to me. But the Cleveland Browns doing Cleveland things. This is not a great big surprise. But Deshaun Watson is a better option than Baker Mayfield. Listen, I don't know. But yeah, Joe needs to come up. That is just hilarious. And again, I don't know the backstory on Baker Mayfield, but who do you think has a better reputation right now? Oh, man, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I don't have really the right to sit in the seat. Maybe my simplistic old school thinking has no place in today's sports talk radio. I don't know. But all I got for Cleveland, as far as Deshaun Watson, I only got one thing to ask. What has Deshaun Watson done for your franchise? What kind of black eye is on the Cleveland Browns? Never mind Houston. But no. But the problem is Baker Mayfield. Not only that, you go out, you bring in Deshaun Watson, and you have Baker Mayfield on his rookie contract, and you bring in Deshaun Watson. What? Something, this reminds me, I don't know if you remember back in the day when you were in school, when you had this question, what doesn't match? How they had a flower, a tree, a river, and then a building. What one doesn't match? And how it's not Deshaun Watson?
Blasphemy! The blasphemy!
But Baker Mayfield's the problem in Cleveland. How about its ownership? How about it's the same old BS that they've been pumping out for the last 30, 40 years? How about maybe someone is overselling the idea that Baker Mayfield's a pain in the ass? Do you think maybe that has happened before in the NFL? Someone oversold their opinion on something and it ended up being wrong? I don't know. Maybe it's me. But I've been told that I've got a lot of conspiracy theories. And that they don't make very much sense. But Cleveland, which doesn't match? And if it's not Deshaun Watson, you're wrong. Okay, guys, that's really much all I got today. And again, I would love to have Cuervo's. That's one I'm leaving. I've got to hear. Now, we briefly talked about Deshaun Watson, but I've got to hear just kind of, I'm going to throw this out to him. What seems to be the problem in Cleveland? And if it's not Deshaun Watson and it's Baker Mayfield, someone needs a drug test over in Cleveland. And Bryce will be the first one to come on here and say, Sonny, you need a drug test. And sometimes he's right. But there's a reason why Cleveland is, doing what they do. Why is that?
Because that's what I do.
That's what they do. And they can't even get out of their own way. Just gets worse. But, guys, that's going to do it for me here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Great Sunday show. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, I think we'll have Cuervo back next week, and I'm going to save this. I want to talk to him about this. I want to get his new school look at this kind of thing, because I know some of the time my brain is tainted with old school, but I want to bring a little new school into the idea of what he's talking about, what he sees, and we can get it all done. So we'll do that next week. We'll obviously have Potpourri talking, things that are going to go on. And let's see here. Oh, it's Bill Cerna. Bill Cerna, the Eagle. You know what, Bill? Hey, Bill. If you got time, give me a yes or no if you can. I'll extend the show if I can bring on the Eagle Eye, because I'd love to get the Eagle Eye's look and the perception of this. I don't know if I hope I could get an answer from him, because I would love to bring in the Eagle Eye on this show. He just cracks me up. And wait, he says, yeah, he can for a couple. All right, so hold on. Share, invite, clipboard, go to Facebook. I'm going to send this to you in Facebook, Bill Cerna, and we're going to bring on Bill Cerna. I'm going to find out if I've lost my mind. I'm actually going to ask him about two things. So I just sent it over to him. Hopefully he'll get that. And there it is. It's posted. So we'll hang out here for a minute. and keep going, because I would love to get Bill Cerna's opinion on some of these things, at least two of these things before we're out of here. I know, and by the way, he's on the bye. By the way, how about the guy that is an assistant coach for the best team in the IFL? Yeah, that'd be the Frisco Fighters. Locked up the number one position on the bye. The number one position in the I'm not sure if they're playing West or East. I think they're in the East. So they locked up the number one position. Never mind in their conference, but also in the IFL. So hopefully we'll get Bill on here. I got to find out. I got to find out how wrong I might be. And because I have a habit of being wrong. Just ask me. But let's do it. Let's bring him on. Let's bring him on in here. Oh yeah, man! It don't get much better than this. The Eagle Eye Bill Cerna, long time no see. Good. Hey, congratulations on that. 11-2. 11-2.
Oh, did I lose you?
Oh, did you?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
What? 11-2, right? Congratulations, right? 11-2.
No, actually, 12-2. We just
12-2. By the way, congratulations with that. Fantastic.
We're on a bye week this week, so
you clinched in the bye week. How often does that happen?
I know, it's nice. We're actually home field advantage all the way until the Arena Bowl. So
I've been reading Adam Shacklefield's page, by the way, and by the way, and if you want to learn something about indoor football, you just either talk to Adam Shackelfield or just follow him. He'll put some knowledge on you.
No, absolutely. It's fun having him. He's actually from afar because he's in Spokane, but
right.
He's in the middle of our chats. He's player personnel. He's constantly finding people, talent, and just constantly sending us good information.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just makes you probably a better coach too, I imagine. I mean,
I can take whatever I can get.
Hey, by the way, I have the original interview I have with Adam Shackelfield. I did with him about 8 years ago, back in the day. This was when they were Wrangler, the Arizona Wranglers or Allen Wranglers. So I got on the phone and had we had like a 30-40 minute interview. It was great. I got it in my archives. I'll go and just listen to it. So, but I wanted to ask you, because you and me, we're sort of the same age. I'm a little bit older than you, right? Am I always wrong on that? Are you older than me?
No, you're older by about 35 years.
I'm 55. So you're 54. So
no,
we're old. Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 52. Stop making me older.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I'm really older than you.
I don't get that senior citizen discount yet.
Yeah, I and that's pretty sad. I'm asking for it whenever I go in there. You got a senior discount anyway. But I want to ask, because sometimes old school mentality is really hard to get out. See, what happens is that the calcium crusts up on the brain and nothing comes in. Everything that's in there stays there. But I wanted to ask you about the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns right now think that one Baker Mayfield is the problem for their football team today. And I guess I'm just wondering, what the hell are they watching? Am I completely wrong in this? I mean, Cleveland's got their own problem, but it can't be that it's Baker Mayfield's problem for that franchise right now.
The quarterback's always going to be the most scrutinized position on the field.
Absolutely.
And with Baker, he came out of college, a lot of hype. They weren't sure whether he was going to be an NFL style quarterback. And then he had that really good year a couple years ago, actually 3 years ago. And, Cleveland made the playoffs, which is something that doesn't normally happen anyways, or hasn't been done in a while. He put him somewhere where they hadn't been.
Right. And I think that was my point.
Yeah. And he struggled ever since. Is it Baker? Absolutely, I think it is. I think there's some truth to it, but because he had a lot around him. He's got one of the best 1-2 duos in the backfield. He had a good crew of receivers, but it's so. If you're not successful, it's easy to point the finger at him. But we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, and
Right.
there's just been issues.
They've been so successful for the last 30 years.
Yeah, they've been successful getting high draft picks. Yes.
Oh man.
So yeah. So what? I think that has part to do with it. I think the success kind of went the wrong way with them. Sometimes especially with quarterbacks, they get that success, they get that notoriety. They get real. He started doing those commercials, and I think it kind of took him.
Which, by the way, they were hilarious. By the way.
Oh, I tell you what, great commercials.
Yes.
Next to Peyton Manning doing commercials, I thought Baker Mayfield was one of the best at doing commercials for
I agree.
Football. So I don't know. But now with you're mentioning the Watson ordeal. It kind of it comes full circle to Cleveland Brown football.
Exactly. I mean, this is something that's nothing that we haven't heard from them doing something so silly. But so I guess I'm going to ask you, and listen, I listen to sports talk radio. We are only getting what they want us to hear. But do you think that relationship, even based upon what Baker's quotes are, is this a problem that $5 extra million cannot solve the problem? I mean, they're about ready to go into the season with Jacoby Brissett, for God's sake.
Right. Well, and I think that's the problem with the Cleveland Browns is, they went out and made the deal for Watson, and now all of a sudden they're put back into a corner because their whole idea was, we got Watson, we can go and let Mayfield go, and he can say what he wants, or we can he can do what he wants. Well, and we can go this. So now they're having to backtrack and say, whoa, wait a minute. Now we're not so bad with Mayfield anymore.
Well, I and this is just what I've heard. I'm not sure what you've heard, but I've heard they're still entertaining a team that will take. He's got a $16 million contract. I think it is. It's a $16 million contract. They want someone to take $9 million of it. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, you're going to pay $9 million to let him go, but to build upon success. Yes, granted, his numbers weren't great, but they won football games with this guy at the quarterback position. They won more games with Baker Mayfield than they've had in the last 3 years than they've had in the last 30. So, sometimes someone's going to have to swallow their pride. And in this case, I don't think it's Baker because I think he's in a power position in reality because they're about ready to let him go. And that's the dumbest thing that I think that they can do right now.
Well, there's two sides of it. You're right. He can feel like he's in a power position because now the Browns need him.
Yeah.
You're just over a month, or actually less than a month from going into training camp. The Browns need him. The problem is finding a team that can use a Baker Mayfield right now. Mm-hmm. How many teams out there right now would have a starting quarterback of Baker Mayfield? There's not many, and there's not many that need him.
That should probably be looking at him.
Yeah, and that might be a challenge. So it's kind of a catch-22 on how he should be feeling. One thing about him is that he's in the league. It's whether he's going to be playing in Cleveland or going to be playing somewhere else. But one thing that Cleveland got to understand that he's probably arguably the best quarterback Cleveland's had since Benny Kosar.
And listen. And there's something to be said about that. And again, it's only average, but really it's all about the success of the team. It looks like they're trying to build the success or the less success that they had by not making through the playoffs for a long period, and putting that squarely on the shoulders of Baker. And I think it's a little unfair. I can't believe I'm defending Baker Mayfield. Not of all, because I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan at all. But I'm sitting here thinking, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're about ready to go to Jacoby Brissett. Now, the one good thing they did, the Browns. They don't do a lot of things right. But in anticipation of what was the situation this year, Watson's contract's only $1 million. So you got to give him that, but there's still $239 million they're owed to pay this guy. So, whether it was this year, or in 5 years from now, he's going to get his money. But man, oh man, this is a football team that seems just, again, cannot get out of their way. They're still doing the same crap that they've been doing. And I just think they're missing out on an opportunity to kiss and make up and maybe have a successful season. Listen, the AFC North football, division of football is one of the toughest in the AFC. Outside the West right now, it's the second best in that. And depending on what Cincinnati's going to do, you should expect them to be good. Lamar Jackson, if he is completely healthy, what's going to happen there? And even to a certain extent, when you're looking at the Bengals, you've got a tough division of football. You've got to be able to bring wins. And he did. Regardless how it happened, the wins came with him being at the helm. So there's got to be a little success there. But
yeah. And you know what? Right now with Pittsburgh having a downtime with, the uncertainty about their quarterback with the loss of, two of their top quarterbacks going into the season, it's really up in the air on where Cleveland can be. Right. Baltimore is every year, there's so much expectation with Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, and it just every year it seems like they fade out just like they did last year. So,
yep.
The verdict's still out on what Cleveland can do. It's just they have decided, are we going to do this with Baker, or are we going to go a different route? So, if you don't go Baker, then you're looking at a rebuilding year.
And that's too bad, because that defense is not going to be bad at all. So no. you just need someone over there to manage it, and it's not Jacoby Brissett. He's only proven that he have it. Now, and I didn't notice how I didn't say yours, but I said the Arizona Cardinals and their situation with their quarterback. Haven't heard a lot about it, so I'm going to ask you, because I know you're keeping up with it. I know you're listening, because it's Kyler Murray, a former Allen, an Allen Eagle, so, it's right around here, and then he's in Arizona. What are you hearing about the Kyler Murray situation, and what do you think the expectations are in Arizona, not just for Kyler Murray, but the head coach, Cliff Kingsbury?
Well, I think right now there's a lot of kiss and make up going on in Arizona with Kyler Murray, because he put himself in a bad situation. He really tarnished his name, not just in Arizona, but all over the place, because he's kind of come off as at the kind of prissy, I want my way, a diva. And that's not him. But he's definitely come off that way. So right now there's a lot of kiss and makeup that needs to be done. But I think there's a lot of question marks about the Cardinals, especially on the offense, because you lose Hopkins for the first 6 games of the season. Yep. You lost Kirk out of your receiving core, so you do got
that will be a loss for them.
Yes, you got an older AC Green or AJ Green coming back, but you've lost a little bit of that. And I think that's one thing with Kyler Murray, is that I think the players around him made him that much better. And the receiving core they had really made him a lot better, because I'll be honest with you, every game was always a head scratch with me sometimes with Kyler. There wasn't one game where I didn't hit myself on the head and say, what are you doing? But the players around him made him better. So it's really going to be curious to see how it comes along for this year.
And one last thing, because I know you don't have a lot of time, and I appreciate, but take a look at this. Look at what we're close to. Look at this. Look at this. And listen, I'm telling you right now, I have been so hyped, Bill. These 2 years not being in the booth has been very hard, at least for me. I don't know about you. Well, you're still involved with indoor football, so you still get your fix, kind of. But, man, it's been a rough 2 years for me not being in the booth. It's been nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be different. Not only are we, coming back from 2 years being off, but we're with a different team.
Yeah.
So, and love being part of the Rowlett Eagles program, but couldn't be more tickled to be part of the Saxy Mustang program, because that program is definitely, especially on in Collin County in that area, it's actually Saxy, I think, is actually in Dallas County, but just on the
Actually,
east side.
parts of Saxy is in Collin, and the other part is in Dallas.
I know.
I drive
That's
through it
another
every day.
I know, another head scratcher. But no, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. They've always been a fun program to follow, and when we
Successful.
called against them, they were a headache when we were at Rowlett. So the best way to get rid of the headache is to be part of it.
Not only that, we're already getting supports from the coach. We're going to be doing a preseason get together. So if you could join us live, great. If not, we got this method as well. It's going to be a lot of fun for us, and being back in the booth. And then, of course, Big Red, Butch Weston, he's going to be running the boards. I'm going to do some training with him. We got so many things coming for what we're going to do, for this season that is way above anything that we've ever really done before. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. You still got the yellow hanky, right?
I think I need to make a new one. I need to get a new one.
That one's heavy. That one was heavy. That one made noise when it hit the ground.
Yeah, I think I might steal one of my officials' flags from the IFL.
There you go. That's not a bad idea. Steal one of those.
Exactly.
Or at least say, hey, man, let me buy one from you, even if it is used.
There you go.
So, hey, by the way, congratulations on that. You might you might be heading over to Vegas. I guess they're having the national championship of the IFL in Vegas.
Yeah.
Is that I guess I'm going to ask. When I heard about it, I wasn't too enthused about it. Because there's no history in reality as far as the IFL is concerned in Vegas, except now they got got their team there. But I don't see that as far as a history or a place that you would gather. I mean, do you think that will start up? Do you think that would be good for them? Or I'd much rather have it right here in Frisco. Of course, it's only 20 minutes away.
Yeah, you know what though? I think with Vegas, and it's the ultimate destination place. Here's the deal: go to Vegas and enjoy football while you're there. You can kill two birds with one stone. I plan on being there for almost a week. I'm going to stay no matter what. Even if something happens and we don't make the championship, I'm going.
There you go.
The arena. They've already.
By the way, how is that arena?
Beautiful. I actually went to the first game they had there early in the season. I went as a spectator. I went there.
Oh,
loved the arena. Great crowd. It was almost a sellout. And I've heard for the national championship, they've already sold over 60% of the arena, and they don't have the teams picked yet.
That's impressive.
So they're doing it right, and it's in the right arena. That arena is only a year old, so it's really beautiful. So I'm really excited to get over there, and like I said, I get to sleep in my bed until that game. So I hope that's the case.
Goes right through there. Who's up for you next?
We play Quad Cities next Saturday night. So
just beat them. Just beat the holy hell out of them. If there's any team in the IFL I hate, and we won't get into the reason. You know the reason why. I cannot stand them, and every time they lose, I just throw a party. It's great. So beat the living piss out of them, if you would, please.
Okay, I'll see what we can do.
Push that on to Billy. Let him know that Sonny wants him to beat the piss out of them.
Well, you come out and watch too. I'll always have a ticket for you.
I'm and that's this Saturday, right? Or is it Friday?
No, this coming Saturday.
Saturday. So, I might make a trip out there. Might bring Big Red along with me as well.
There you go.
Out there. Yeah. That be, and I know he's going to be in the stands. You know who I'm talking about is going to be in the stands. So
who's that?
Anyway, it is what it is.
Well,
I'll tell you off air. If you don't know, you're crazy. I think you know. But
playoffs will be on Friday nights there. So the playoffs are going to be. Let's see. Last two games of the season are on Saturday nights, and then the 2 weekends after playoffs are on Friday nights.
This is the last game. This is your
last game. We got two more. We have this one, and then we play Sioux Falls in 2 weeks.
2 weeks to Sioux Falls. Oh, is that figured out?
Well, that's the end of our regular season.
Oh, at the end of the regular season. So you're going to be at home against Quad Cities,
and then at home against Sioux Falls.
this. Wow, interesting where the Storm are. As far as their position
and really come down to them making the playoffs on how they do against us. We might control their destiny.
Now, Duke City not going to make it?
Well, Duke City's in the Western Conference. Duke City will be they'll be the number 4 seed in the Western Conference.
Really? So they made or is that based upon their schedule they should make it, or are they wrapped up that 4th spot?
They're pretty much in. Yeah.
They're pretty much in. Got it.
Yeah, the only one that could catch them would be Vegas, and Vegas would have to win all their games, and Duke City would have to lose all their games just for them to catch them, which I don't see that happening.
Got it. Those are the teams I root for. I root for Duke City. I root for the Frisco Fighters. And folks get out there. It's Saturday. They take on the hated Quad City. Okay, from me, the hated Quad City Wheelers, and then of course the Sioux Falls Storm, which is always a good game regardless where they are as far as their record is concerned. Because really, we've never seen this Sioux Falls Storm team ever,
right?
As far as their record is concerned and what they're doing. So,
right.
I don't know. Is that because of new ownership and everything, or changing? What do you think that is all about?
A lot of people say that. They still have the same coach they've had forever. Griggs is.
So it's Riggs is still there.
He's still there, so he's still the same great coach. But you know what? I have seen a little bit different since ever since Tyron sold the team. A little bit different, but they still have some of some great players. They have
they do.
Probably some of the outside the Arizona Rattlers. They have and us here in Frisco. They have the best fans and the best traditions there. So it's still a good organization, but there's just so much good talent out there.
Well, here we go. Less than 2 months, we'll be in the booth. You'll be done by then, right? Or by August.
Oh yeah. We'll be done. We'll be done by then.
So we got you on week number 1 at least. So that's always a good thing. Back in the booth. Hey, Three Amigos, riot again. So we'll do it again. Thanks for coming on for 20 minutes. You gave me 20. I appreciate it. Have yourself a good day. We'll talk to you. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. See you.
All right. He is Bill Cerna. He is the Eagle Eye Bill Cerna, and always a pleasure to talk to him. Having him on the show, he definitely, it's just like Cuervo. It just makes the show that much better. So rode on for an extra 20 minutes, and it's always good to talk to him. So that's going to do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Make sure you join us next week. We'll be on air. Not sure of the time yet. We want to see what's a good time for Cuervo. He's been saying early is going to be best. I don't care if it's Sunday morning at 4 a.m. I'll do it. Why not? Just to have Cuervo in on the show. And, of course, good to see the Eagle Eye. That's going to do it for me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. I'm out of here, everybody. Have a great weekend. Take care.